to another episode of Lexy, the place for fashion podcast. On this week's episode, I have an amazing guest. She's a sustainable designer who makes clothes out of old shoes and basketballs and recently had a show at Los Angeles Fashion Week. On this week's episode, we have Cierra Boyd. How are you doing, Cierra?
Hey, I am doing pretty good. I can't complain. I'm alive and well. So, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. What about you?
Awesome. I am so great, and I'm so happy to have you on today. So for those who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Cierra Boyd, and I am the founder and designer of Frisk Me Good. And with Frisk Me Good, I do handmade, sustainable luxury items, which is also like a cross between like sustainability and streetwear. So, with Frisk Me Good, I'm just always like striving to be my best creative self, because for me fashion has always been a huge form of self-expression. So with Frisk Me Good, I like to live out my flamboyant fantasies through my clothing line.
That's amazing. So how did you really first get into fashion in general?
Oh man. So I feel like I have always like kind of cared about like how I dress. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've always cared about like, fashion or being the best dressed, since like I can remember, like since maybe like I guess like high school is when I really started to care. Even though I went to Catholic school and we wore uniforms, but on the
Mm-hmm.
dress down days, like I only cared about like, being fashionable.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually that led me to working in retail, and I worked at a streetwear store here in Cleveland called Next. And Next was known for being like, back in the day, Next was known for being like the place where all the best dressed people worked and like all the best dressed people shopped and stuff like that. So, once I like got like in that job, I was able to like truly dress how I've always wanted to dress. Like,
Mm-hmm.
outside of a uniform, like I really started to like develop my personal style. So that's when I really got into fashion in general, was working in retail. And of course, like I said, I've always cared about how I was dressed.
Yeah, definitely. Did you grow up in Cleveland?
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
born and raised.
so do you think that living in Cleveland kind of allowed you to express yourself? Or were people in Cleveland maybe less at not did they not care about fashion as much, so you maybe stood out
Hmm.
amongst the other people?
Maybe it kind of was like, people not really caring about fashion as much. Like, I mean, I know, in the time where I was in school, people did care about like it was always like a saying like, oh, well, I hope you can dress, or you can't dress, or people will always say stuff like that. But maybe it was just kind of personal to me, because I mean, we're pretty fashionable here, but we're not known for fashion, or
Right.
there's not really a fashion scene here. So, um, you know, I um I really think maybe it was like a mix of both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So
Mhm.
how would you say you got more into the sustainable side of fashion?
Yeah, so I kind of got into sustainable fashion like unknowingly. Because I started my clothing line after I graduated from Ohio University.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got back, like it was kind of like a really like a culture shock coming into the real world, because like I had no money. My dream was to like move away and, live in a big city, a big fashion city. But when reality hit that I didn't have any money for that, I kind of had to go to like a plan B, then C, then D. It was just really
Mm-hmm.
crazy. So, that led me to starting Frisk Me Good. And like I said, I had no money at all. So I was using stuff that was already in my home, uh, because our attic is like really like a thrift store in itself. Like at first, I didn't even have to go to the thrift store at all, because literally our whole attic is full of like so many gems. And I just
Mm-hmm.
started like, using the pieces up there to like practice on and make stuff out of. And I wasn't really buying fabric at the time, because
Mm-hmm.
I had no money, and like I really wanted to buy fabric off like Mood and stuff like that, but I literally
Mm-hmm.
could not afford it at all. So me resorting to using what I had available ended up becoming like my entire mission of my clothing line.
Right.
And it took me a while to realize that, you know, because I was at one point when I was able to afford it, I was buying fabrics and stuff like that. But then like, you know, I really thought back to like where I started. And then I also started to notice that people like enjoy like my upcycle stuff more than the store bought, you know, fabrics and materials. So in 2020, I made a conscious decision to stop purchasing fabric altogether. And from then, I've only been using recycled or responsibly sourced materials.
Awesome. How did you learn to like sew and like do like the more design part of the fashion industry?
Yeah, so everything that I learned about sewing and design is all from YouTube and trial
Mm,
and error. Um, because I did go to school for fashion, but it was more like the business side and like, you know, behind the scenes with retail merchandising and fashion product development.
mhm.
They didn't have a design program. And by the time I had realized I wanted to be a designer, I was way too far gone. I was like literally already a junior, ending junior year. So it was kind of like, dang, like, should I have gone to like a fashion school? Like, should I have
Mhm.
gone to a design school? But I feel like at the end of the day, you know, being self-taught has had so many rewards. And I feel like I've heard from people about like design schools that they stifle your creativity or something like that. So you know, it all worked out at the end.
Mhm.
And literally everything from YouTube and just trial and error. It was a very crazy time.
So for all of our, college listeners who maybe are looking to go to like a fashion or learn at least like study fashion in
Mhm.
college, do you think that you had a good experience going to like a place that's not maybe like as typically known for like their fashion like aspect of their school?
Yeah, I personally had an amazing
Hmm.
experience. You know, and I felt like it really helped me stand out because it really wasn't, especially where I went, it's a very small college town. Like, think of like literally your like whatever you would imagine the American college experience, that's literally how it was. Like, and everyone dressed the same, dressed in
Hmm.
sweats, dressed in t-shirts every day. And I was kind of like the only one, well, not the only one, because I made friends that dressed like me, but you know, I was one of the only people that were like really getting up and like dressing up every single day and like
Hmm.
being flamboyant within my style. So, you know, that was interesting, but yeah, it really allowed me to like, you know, find my own lane,
Hmm.
for real, because you know, not only that, but I also founded like the first mass printed fashion magazine on my college campus. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was a crazy time. And that's how I got into like, you know, editorials and like you know, photo shoots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like there was just so many opportunities to like, you know, be myself and do what I wanted to do without like, you know, any like, I guess like I guess the word is expectations,
Hmm.
but yeah, it kind of made me stand out more. And I felt like they embraced me there, especially like with the college within the university, which my college was called the Patton College of Education. And
Hmm.
I felt like they always like showed me love and always like supported what I was doing and you know, gave me a platform at that time because like I said, nobody even knew they had a fashion school. So I felt like I was one of the only people repping it for real.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of family that's from Ohio, and
Hmm.
one of my cousins went to Ohio State, and then the other one went to Ohio
Hmm.
Wesleyan.
Hmm.
They're like all from like right outside of Columbus, but I feel like
Hmm.
just visiting there, like Ohio, I definitely wouldn't think of it really as like the fashion place. Like,
Right.
but I have a friend that goes to like Kent, like
Hmm.
the whatever that university is, and
Hmm.
that's like one of the best fashion like programs at any like
Yeah.
I think they're literally above my college, FITM in LA. So it's interesting just like how Ohio, like I feel like I wouldn't think of Ohio. I mean, I go there all the time and like it's definitely not the first thing I think of when I think of Ohio. Um, and so it's just interesting that like it's also like it actually does have a lot of fashion
Yeah.
all around.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of hidden gems,
Yeah.
really, you know.
Definitely. So what was the first thing that you ever designed and then created?
Hmm. The first thing that I ever made was actually so in 2015 is when I picked my sewing machine back up, like in like literally like 10 years. Like I had initially learned how to sew when I was 8 years old, and I never really got to the point where I was making garments because that I was so intimidated at the time that, and there was no YouTube when I was 8 years old, so I couldn't just like look it up. So, you know, I was really intimidated, and like I had went to like a few classes at Joanne Fabrics, and it just never really went anywhere. So I was always like making pillows and stuff. So in 2015, my dad got me a sewing machine for Christmas that year, and that was my junior year of college. And it was winter break, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna just try it. I'm gonna stop being so intimidated and just do it. And I had a sewing pattern that I randomly had, and it was like for like a skirt. Never used the pattern a day in my life. So I'm like, you know, I cut out the pattern, and I make this like red like plexi, what is not plexi? What is it called? It's like kind of like a vinyl. It's like a red vinyl. And I try to make like a bra top with it. Now the construction on one hand was a little crazy. Now that I'm looking back, I didn't know anything about darts, and like I had like put some snaps on the back, like trying to dart it, and like it looked really crazy. But you know, I actually did a photo shoot for it for the magazine that I had started, and yeah, that was the first thing I ever made. And I actually have a picture of it. Hold on, because I actually have the magazine right here. Because
oh my god,
this is so random, but I was gonna send it to the university so they could like, you know, archive it. And I actually have that picture in here. Let me find it. It's so funny. But yeah, it was looking real crazy. It looked good in the picture though.
You're like, at least it looks good in the picture. No one has to know the crazy process.
Yep, this is it.
Oh my god, it looks so good.
Thank you. Yeah, it looked really crazy in person, but in the picture,
no one needs to know. No one needs to know.
I know, exactly. It translated so well. So yeah, that was my first ever outfit that I made.
That is insane. I love that. Yeah. And I love that it's like it's in the magazine, because now you can like just look back and like you're doing now, like, and just have that with you, and then like look at like where you are now with like designing things. Like that's just insane,
man. And I never really even like really thought about it until you asked me the question, so I'm glad like actually care to look back at it and be like, oh shit.
Oh shit, that happened, forgot about that. Well, yeah, so talking more about your brand in general, you make like garments out of just like all these crazy things. So how do you like really minimize waste? Because can you just tell everyone kind of like the process of like what your brand is in making those garments?
Yeah, so really, you know, it's taken me a minute to like find the exact formula of how to recycle everything. And like really the key for me is I've kept all the materials that like get like cut off or wasted. So like you saw at the show, I had the dress made of the soles. So literally that was like 100 pairs of soles accumulated like from me using all New Balances. Literally my walls in my house are filled to the brim with shoe boxes, soles, literally like, you know, the rubber soles that go at the bottom, like literally all of that stuff like gets saved. Like I can even show you, like I literally have like bags of like leftover materials.
Oh my gosh.
From the show, I have like a bunch of soles right
here. Oh my gosh.
I have literally a gigantic box. I know it's a lot of clothes on top, but literally a whole box full of stuff. Like I never get rid of anything. So literally my house is like stacked up to the walls. And you know, I just keep the materials until I figure out like what is the best responsible way to like, you know, get rid of them, you know?
Right.
And, you know, for a lot of like the soles, like, so I'll use like Nike, Air Force Ones and stuff like that. And I've actually recently found a way to recycle them by selling them to other reconstruction and deconstruction artists who make shoes. So
Oh my gosh, yeah.
through that, I've been able to like find amazing homes for my souls for them to be able to be repurposed. So it's just all about really just keeping the materials and waiting until I can figure out how to find a home for them, and just never really throwing anything away. Is really like my goal and my mission. And you know, with some materials I'm able to like directly recycle them. Like the vinyl coats are literally made of plastic, so I can just put it in the plastic recycling bin. Stuff like that. But I try not to like, you know, put it in a recycling bin. I always just try to think of ways that I can reuse them in the future.
Yeah, definitely. And I was actually talking to someone who also kind of takes like waste and then makes clothing out of it. And she actually buys a lot of her like the things that she ends up using to make garments on eBay. So just an interesting thing. People literally buy trash. So if you're like, I have no idea what to do with this, sell it on eBay because someone out there wants it. And it's really interesting because I'm like, if it's not like it makes sense to me to like if I'm making something out of like shoe soles or whatever, to buy a bunch on eBay. But if I'm not doing that, what are people using? why are people buying those soles? But like I just, other than the purpose of using it to like design more clothing out of waste, like I just don't understand what other demographic of people are using it and buying that. That's an interesting thing to think about. But yeah, I didn't even know that you could like buy those things on eBay. So just an interesting thing about that. If you're ever looking for another way to get rid of stuff, selling it on eBay. But what originally made you think like, okay, I'm gonna take this sneaker and make an outfit out of it?
Yeah, so that's actually a pretty random story too. So in 2019, I was in my first ever design competition. And this was at the point where my clothing line was 2 years old. So I'm already still like, you know, getting a feel for everything, still learning a lot, still needed a lot of validation at the time. So I'm watching Project Runway and I'm like, okay, I want to be on a design competition, like, or something. Like I need to do something. So I start Googling stuff and pops up a competition right in Cleveland, Ohio, which is not normal at all.
You're like, wait,
not normal. Like we
never. I think not.
Yeah, no, we never have competitions here. So I was like, oh my God, like, is it still like going? Like, blah, blah. So after looking at the competition, I realized that the competition had been going on for 4 months. It's
oh my God.
Yeah, it's January and the competition is in February and it's been going on since like October. So I'm like, okay, can I still get in this? Blah, blah, blah. So I hit up the lady who's running it and she is like the owner of a dress shop here at the mall in Cleveland. I don't know if her store is still there now, but you know, she was running the competition or whatever. So I asked her, reached out, and she was like, yeah, of course you can still be in it, blah, blah. So I'm like, all right, great. So I entered the competition and they gave me 3 challenges and a theme. The theme that they gave me was heavy metal. And the 3 challenges that I had was to make something without using thread. And they also gave me an upcycle, well, it was a dress that they were, I guess, trying to get rid of. And they gave that to me and told me to upcycle it. And the last challenge was to create something without using fabric. So I had the first 2 down pat with the recycled dress. Like, even though they gave me a beige sparkly dress and my theme was heavy metal, I ended up using the dress as the lining. And I made a jean jacket out of jeans and old chains, and I painted flames on it. So had that down pat. With the no thread challenge, I ended up making a harness made out of recycled leather and chains and had it down pat.
You're like, I'm set. I'm good.
I'm good. And then the no fabric challenge was just killing me. I was like, okay. At that point, I was like, okay, I got 2 weeks left. I need to figure out something quick. So I'm sitting up here like, okay, what am I gonna do? Like, should I like get some old chip bags and like make something? Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I was so confused. And you know, usually when I'm working, like I'll play YouTube in the background. So as I was working this day, I had an episode of Vice come on about a guy who made gas masks out of sneakers, and I was like, oh shit.
You're like, wait a minute.
I was like, hold on, maybe I can make a top out of sneakers. So I'm like, let's go. So I go in my attic, and I'm still using stuff in my attic still. And I go up there and I find like a pair of shoes, and I try to draft up a top, and drafted it up, put it on, and I was like, okay, it looked a little weird. I don't know what's going on, but like I literally had it up here, and I was like, I don't know about this. And like I don't remember if I was like either trying to take it off or just moved it down a little bit, but when I put it around my waist, it was like perfect. And I was like, oh shit, this is kind of like a corset. And I was like, this is kind of weird. I was like, is this cute? Like I was just very like indifferent about it when I first made it. But I was like, okay, well, I got 2 weeks left, so this is gonna have to be what it is.
You're like, there's nothing else we can do here.
Yeah, there's nothing else. So you know, I contact the judges from the competition just to triple check that using shoes is okay as not fabric, it doesn't count as fabric, and they were like, yeah, go for it. So after that, went to the thrift store, got some black Nikes, and ended up drafting another one, like the official one for the competition, put chains on it, put spikes on it, super cute. And I'm done with my collection. So I go to the competition, and unfortunately I did not win. I got second place. But yeah, right. But it made sense though, because people literally have 5 months to work on it.
Right.
People have literally whole garments, like, and I had little like kind of like pieces to go with the outfit, you know. So it was understandable, but I was still like super proud of myself because like that was my first ever competition. I've never done anything like that. And I was going up against people that I knew that had been designing for years before me, like people who fashion shows I was in before I even knew I wanted to be a designer. So to win against those people was a huge, like, you know, form of validation for me. And then after that, I ended up putting the corset on Depop, and people went crazy about it on Depop. Like as soon as I put it up, and from there I never stopped making it because of the response that I got on Depop as soon as I put it up, and literally the whole collection had sold out. And it was also some shady shit going on with that competition too. Like the lady was real shady. She was trying not to give me my like prize money at the end. It was very like weird and crazy. But and I'm happy I didn't win first place because I don't even know if the first place winner ever got their money. So
oh my god.
But yeah, we had to chase this. Me and my family, my whole family and all my friends were there. We had to chase this lady down at the end and get the money.
My god.
It was insane. But yeah, it all worked out. I was not meant to win first place in that. So it was all good.
I mean, yeah, even just in general, like the experience, and like you said, like having that be your first competition and still getting second place, like that's still amazing. You know, freaking One Direction didn't win first place on America's Got Talent. They won second place. So if that makes you feel any better.
No, that is fact.
If that, yeah, I mean, like, and then they became One Direction, and the guy that won first place, I don't even know who he was. So
yep.
Just a little example there.
Literally, that makes me feel 10 times better. Thank you.
Okay, good. I'm glad I could help with that. So what is the most interesting thing that you have made so far, just in general?
You know, I would definitely have to say the sneaker soul dress that I made for the show. One, because like it has been transformed. It actually was a pair of wings that I made for a fashion show that I was doing in January. And it was part of my finale outfit. And I really didn't want them to go to waste, and I felt like they had been like sitting around for a while. So just to be able to transform those from like wings that I was wearing on my back to like a whole entire dress, was really like, I don't know. I didn't even know how to feel about it at first. I was like, you know, asking all my friends, like, does this look okay? Like, are you guys sure it looks okay? And that was the showstopper at the show. So,
yeah. Oh my god. Oh my god.
literally. So I really felt really good about that. And just the amount of time it took, and all the detail on it and whatnot.
Mhm.
I think that would have to be my favorite one.
So when sewing with like all these random things, is it like completely different from sewing with fabric? Like how I don't even like because like it's not like I feel like you couldn't really like look up a YouTube video like how to sew using sneaker soles. So like
Mm-hmm.
how is that process? Does it take a lot longer than sewing with fabric? Like how did you learn how to do that and all that stuff?
Yeah, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
And it definitely takes more time than sewing with fabric.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also really like a puzzle slash like, I don't know. It can be crazy, especially with the machines that I use. And that's kind of like how I learned, I can't tell you what the machine is. That's my secret. Unfortunately, can't tell y'all what it is. But because I have a sewing machine sourcing place that I work with
Mm-hmm.
here in Cleveland, and they were the ones that told me what type of machine to use because I had no idea. Like,
Right.
and when I found out initially it was in my city, I went in there and I just asked, what type of sewing machine can I use for shoes? And then I
Right.
showed him what I was making, and he was like, oh, I got the perfect thing for you. And I got my sewing machine, showed me how to thread it and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, like that was really when like the quality went up like
Right.
tenfold. So really it's just like I would only say it's harder because the material is so thick. Like,
Right.
it's so many layers, and like a regular sewing machine that would literally destroy a normal sewing machine.
Yeah.
So, um, just luckily because of the equipment that I have, it's possible. But yeah, it would be really, really stressful to do it without the machine that I have. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure that's just such an interesting process. Like probably so much trial and error because like who no one else is sewing and they're like teaching you how to sew with like shoes to not make
Literally,
shoes but to make like a dress out of shoes. So I
literally.
cannot even imagine that. Like I get stumped when trying to sew a regular thing out of fabric. So
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
so
no,
I can't
it's
imagine.
crazy. Yeah, literally, like the first time I ever made the sneaker dress, that was like literally a 24-hour thing. Like I was literally like in there. It was like a puzzle. I was like, oh my God, like I feel like I'm trying to unlock the bridge of Terabithia or some shit. Like I don't know what the fuck is going on.
So what's the most interesting thing that you have like used to make something, or do you always use sneakers?
I'm trying to think what else have I used. I use a lot of random things. Hmm. I would have to say so far sneakers, but like I
Yeah.
have a lot of like things planned that
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do that I just don't necessarily know how to construct it or how it can be sewn.
Right.
But
The
I'm
question.
planning, yeah, no, I'm planning on using like this is a little sneak peek, but I'm planning on using wires, like discarded wires next.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully. But yeah, that's probably has been like oh, you know what? What's another crazy thing I've made something out of? I've made a whole dress out of credit cards and I haven't dropped it yet.
Oh my
And I really
God.
should. Yeah, I made a whole dress out of credit cards.
I need to
And I
see
actually
that.
should, yeah, I actually should drop that. You just like
Yes.
reminded me that I had that. So yeah, the credit cards, the old credit cards is probably the craziest thing I've ever made anything out of,
Oh my God, I feel like that would be like such a bad bitch dress. Like I can just even like the use of credit cards, like I don't know what it looks like, but I
Oh
feel like
man.
that's just so iconic.
Yeah, no, okay, I'm dropping that soon. Thank you for reminding
Hell
me.
yeah, you are. I'm excited. I'll look out for it. I'll look out for it.
Shit, I'm gonna finish working on that tonight.
So what's the overall message that you have like behind your brand that you want everyone to know?
Yeah, I really just want Frisk Me Good to be like an outlet has as it was for me.
Mm,
Especially when it came to self-expression, and expressing myself through fashion. which is, like I said, has always been like, a huge part of my life,
Mhm.
is just being dressed and telling a story about myself without having to say anything at all. And that's kind of what I want my pieces to translate when people wear them. And I also want them to be able to do that while not having to conform to like the norms of fast fashion, and
Mhm.
having to worry about like, is it responsibly sourced? Like, was this made in a sweatshop? Like, did somebody like bleed trying to make this
Right.
outfit? Like, ethically, did somebody unethically bleed
Right.
trying to make this outfit? So I really want to be that avenue, especially in like the streetwear industry, because I feel like I really don't know that many streetwear brands that are sustainable or that
Sustainable,
focus on
no.
sustainability. And then when it comes to sustainability, when I immediately think about it, it's never like fun. Like,
Mm-mm.
it's always like just like monotone and like
Exactly.
boring.
Everyone always
So
thinks of sustainability as like, oh, it's very minimal. And while like a
yeah,
certain aspect of sustainability is like, because obviously if you're more minimal, then like you're just kind of, you know, like surpassing all of the trends. Like I can wear a white
yeah,
button down shirt for the rest of my life. Like, yes,
you know,
being minimal is it can be sustainable, but so is thrifting. And so is wearing
right.
like sustainable brands that are still cool, but yeah, so I feel like you're so right. Like I read a blog post about a lot of the sustainability I saw during LA Fashion Week, and I mentioned your
Hmm.
brand. And I said that what's really great is that like, yes, you're sustainable, but you're also cool. And I feel like when so many people like think of sustainability, like you said, like no one thinks like, oh, like I can still be on trend or I can still be cool while being sustainable. But your
Hmm.
brand is both sustainable and cool. So I love that.
Thank you. Oh my
Of
God, I love the way you
course.
put that.
Of course. So now that we're talking more about, LA Fashion Week, can you just tell us overall how that was for you?
Oh my God. That whole thing was a dream come true. And that's one of the things that I love about like LA is that they always show me love, like, and always like invite me to be in the fashion scene there. Because like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, when New York Fashion Week, they never show me love like ever. And like I feel like LA always does that and always shows out. And just having even just this opportunity that I know like some people wait a lifetime for. And my brand is relatively new. It's only
Hmm.
4 years old. So, I was just extremely grateful for the opportunity to even have this platform to
Hmm.
show, you know, my designs. And, I feel like I worked so hard on my collection. Like literally, I spent 3 weeks slaving away, like,
Hmm.
getting no sleep just to get this collection done. And, like I said, at first I wasn't even sure how people respond to it, would they like it? I was a little self-conscious about like, oh my God, like what other designers are gonna be there? Like, are they,
Hmm.
is this gonna be up to par, And just the response that I got was just so amazing. And everyone was so supportive of me. And I was really just super grateful about that. And I just really hope there's many more to come because I just loved like how validated and how much support that I got from everyone. And yeah, it was literally a dream come true. Like when I walked out, it felt like a dream. Like I felt like I don't even know how to explain it. It just felt so surreal. And you know, just it felt great.
That's amazing. Was this your first LA Fashion Week?
Yeah, this was my first LA Fashion Week, like official LA Fashion Week.
Right.
2 years ago, before all the COVID stuff happened, I was in the model experience, which I know is not affiliated with LA Fashion Week. I know they do have a show for LA Fashion Week,
Hmm.
but yeah, that was the other time that I got invited. But this one was definitely this was my first ever like big show, like
Right.
really. So
Well,
so
that's
yeah.
amazing. I mean, I loved LA Fashion Week and all of the designs were amazing, but yours was my favorite
Mhm.
show. Like yours was
Thank
just
you.
so different and amazing and sustainable. Um, so all good things combined.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I
Of
really do.
course. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to tell our listeners kind of before we wrap up?
Yeah. Go ahead and check out Frisk Me Good. On Instagram at Frisk Me Good is my personal Instagram, FriskMeGod, or on my my store Instagram, which is friskmegood.inc. And then of course visit friskmegood.com for the latest in sustainable fashion. Remember, sustainability never looked this good.
Oh my God, yes, I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on with me today. I had so much fun speaking with you. Don't forget to follow Cierra on all of her socials. And while you're at it, you can follow me. My Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok are all at Lexy Silverstein. That's Lexy, silver like the color, Stein. And remember to make the ordinary extraordinary.